People today have no idea how easy they have it. There was no ClickFunnels. There was no EBOOV. That's my company. There were no things like that, right? Yeah. There were things that make life easy. At the end of the show, I'm going to share like something that could make a lot of you guys probably an extra $1 million. And it stems from just the lesson you're talking about.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the DM Recap Show. Here with Vince Reed. I'm Mike. I am head of production here at the DM. So let's get right into it. I know for most of you, hopefully you watched episode 1. That was a great story, a great Mike, foundation.
Nobody watched episode 1. We just started. It's a new show.
They watched episode 1.
Not many people yet. They will.
For the ones that did, though, yeah. You're already in. But for the majority who haven't watched it yet, why haven't you yet? First and foremost. But we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna go into detail, things that weren't talked about in episode 1. I'm just gonna ask Vince, what actually went down? What are the other stories that he has or things that he can add to the stories?
I don't know.
That
it can get dangerous.
Hey, that's what it's all about here at the DM. We're gonna take the things that haven't been told and bring them to light. So let's get right to it. So first and foremost, all right. So you're growing up, right? In you said Watts, right?
Yeah, I want to elaborate on that because I know
How was that?
Well,
what was that?
I know people that know me. This boy didn't grow up in Watts because they know me from Orange County. In fact, when I was in college, my nickname was Disneyland because they knew I went to Servite, which is in Anaheim, and everybody thinks Disneyland is like nice and whatever. Uh-huh. But I grew up in Watts, LA, a bunch of different places in LA until I was like late 7, almost 8 years old when I moved with my dad. And at first, I used to think like, you didn't really grow up in LA, but my memories are so crazy of like how scared I was all the time. I can remember that time. And my daughter just turned 8, and she's just so like a grown woman, like she understands. So to me, it was real. So I did grow up in LA. Like there's a lot goes on. I mean, there's a lot in a little 7, 8-year-old person's life. Uh-huh. So all of you guys that didn't think I didn't grow up in LA, I grew up in LA. Yeah, I left when I was 7 and 8. That's the truth. And I would go back and visit all the time. So it wasn't like I just left, but yeah, sure. That's the grow up. So just so we get that part straight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I know you mentioned too, you were walking with your sister. She told you to hide in the bushes. She would get in fights.
The original Floyd Mayweather.
Did you get in any,
No.
Any fights?
Oh,
No.
I used to fight all that. You mean in those fights? No, they were too big. This was like legit. I mean, back then we would take this bus to school and.
What was that story with the bike?
Yeah, we don't need to get in that.
Okay.
So when I moved to Orange County, that's when I got tough.
Got it. Okay.
So like people would try to mess with me, and my dad had a rule. He was like, you got a choice. You're either gonna fight or you just need to act crazy. That time I had to act crazy, and it worked. Thank God it worked, because I would have been in trouble if it didn't.
Yeah, that was a crazy story. I mean,
long story short, 8 guys tried to jump me, and I just acted really crazy, and they all got scared and left.
8 guys?
Yeah, it was 8. Maybe it was like 6. But it was definitely over 5. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I actually want to know a little bit more about the time when you were in playing football, right? Like you said your dream was to play football on Sundays in the NFL. Since playing Pop Warner, you went to high school, Servite, our alma mater. And
you have to go to Servite to work here. My man Connor behind the 1s and 2s went to Servite.
Credo.
My man Mike went to Servite.
So it's all in the family. You were the the first and only starting freshman
that I know of.
That you know of in the school's history.
I've heard that up until like last year. I don't know what happened this year. But yeah.
But you held that title for a while.
Yeah, start 4 years on varsity and make first team.
Oh, and first team.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the difference too.
That's the difference. Yeah.
It's pretty good, Mike.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I had one of those like football like flyers from a game, and they would have like pictures or like names of everyone that's like All-American, you know, all county, things like that. And then I remember like your pictures right there. For some reason it stood out. This was like way before we met.
Tear to my eye. I feel
way
like
before
Al
we
Bundy.
met. And it's like, it's meant to be.
Remember that?
It's meant to be. But, you know, you had a coach, I remember you were saying you had a coach that said, you know, you got to work harder. You got to, you know, you were just relying on your athletic ability. And when you got into college, that kind of opened your eyes like, oh, there's another level.
So at the end of the show, I'm going to share like something that could make a lot of you guys probably an extra $1 million. And it stems from just the lesson you're talking about. You know, when you're young, you have all the answers, right? You just think you know everything. Everybody can remember somebody giving them some type of advice. And, you know, I can remember the coach. His name was Coach Sanchez. And he would just say, you need to practice harder. Like you need to, he'd just be like, you're not practicing, you got to practice like it's the game. And I heard him and I believed him, but I didn't. I didn't go there. And when I got to college, everybody practiced like it was their last. And that is a muscle you cannot turn on. Same with business. It's literally the same business. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to work hard today in business. Like next week, I'm going to, you know, do it. Like we had a talk before this. We're like, should we do this recap show? Or should we wait and release 2? And we're like, and I'm like, no, we got to just do it.
Yeah, stick on schedule.
Because you got to build the muscle now, no matter how hard it is, and eventually it gets easier. And you're like, man, like it was actually pretty easy. But I didn't have it. It was something I just couldn't turn on. I could have if I had the right mindset, like I have today, because I should never say I couldn't, but it's very difficult. Like that type of thing, work ethic is literally a muscle.
Dude, where was like that switch? Was there a switch or was it gradual over time where you kind of realized taking this, I guess this whole scenario that you're going through, realizing that there's a whole nother level, was it gradual over time on how you transitioned over to business and what you did in like the rest of your life leading to where you are now?
Sorry, Mike, I got to reply to this email.
Hey,
no, we can keep
we
going.
We got business to do. We still got business to do.
All right, now it's gone. Apologize, you guys, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. There was this kid on our team, right? He played in the NFL. Slow, had great hands, worked hard. And I remember there was this one drill we were doing, and everybody on the team would pretty much coast through it, but this kid would go hard all the time. He had no other speed. Like he had no other way. It was like when they say, oh, this is a 70% drill, he was going 100. And it would annoy players, but that kid made the NFL. And when I was sitting at home, when I was putting on all that weight, and I saw him go to the NFL, that's when the switch came on for me. Because I realized that kid was practicing and preparing for something greater. And that's why I have this attitude. I cannot understand lazy people, right? Even though I was the lazy person. And I realized that it's going to take a lazy person to hit rock bottom to like experience someone else outwork them and see that other person got the thing that they wanted before the switch comes on. That's how it happened.
Fast forward to when you get the job at ING, right? So how was that? Was that something where, you know, you were automatically making phone calls right away, like, you know, this is what I need to do, or, you know, was that hard for you? That was the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. One, I didn't understand what real money was. I was just working because I had nothing, and I was just happy to have a job. But to be in a situation where there was no answering the phone and making calls at ING. The phone, headset, beep, hang up, beep, talk, literally the whole time. 8 hours, you're on the phone, legit. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of people calling in to this bank. It was an online bank. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got a chance to talk to people. I mean, you think about it. Imagine calling your bank, calling Bank of America, Chase, wherever you bank with. The person picking up the phone and them getting you to apply for a mortgage. That's a skill set. Like you're just calling to check on how much is in your bank, your checking or savings. You got a checking and a savings account. Right. Well, you did more than that, right? Because that kind of prepared you.
But that prepared
for the
me
future.
because, like, I understood like how to sell. They taught me like, how to communicate with people and how
Did that come natural to you, or you had to learn?
I mean, I always, my dad had the gift of gab. I think I took that trait.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not going to sit here and say it was like not natural, but it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy. So
how long did it take you to kind of get to a point where like you're proficient at it? Like, okay, like
from the phone perspective?
Phone perspective, yeah, selling.
I worked overtime. I don't think I can't remember a time working where I didn't work 12 hours, like a day, not just the 8-hour shift. So pretty quickly. And I was competitive, so you could see other people, what they were doing. I was still right out of college, right? And it didn't help that I guess I should say it did help, the fact that we were in such a nice area where the bank was, where I could look out and see nice things.
Yeah. But
it was frustrating to know that there was no way where I was at, I was going to actually get any of those things. Recession.
That was...
trying to make me cry?
It's part of the story.
Okay.
That was a big deal, I think for a lot of people in the country and the world. But I think it hit you especially hard because you were in the loan industry, right? The mortgage industry. So can you dive a little bit deeper on like how that was from, ground level, from where you were?
It was tough because that time, in my opinion, gave a lot of people a false sense of accomplishment. Kind of like the digital marketing world right now. Like everybody thinks they're great, but we're going to see who's really good right now during the time we're in today, right? And as things change. But banks stopped lending. I mean, jobs were gone. There was no jobs. You couldn't do loans, and you had to reinvent yourself, which is why the digital marketing space is so great, because the first thing people do is do what I did, go on the internet and find a way to make more money. That's why this is the greatest skill set in the world. And I remember when I saw lead generation, when I stood up and saw, and I want to elaborate on this one part because I watched the episode and I remember thinking this. When I stood up at that desk and I could see those ads and I knew that I was onto something, when I was saying like there has to be another guy that lost everything that searched for how to make money online, I remember thinking, what if I'm the guy where they're clicking on the ads and it's my ad? And I'm the one selling stuff. I don't think it came across on the show well. I don't think I articulated that well. I saw it. I said, everyone is like me right now, hurting, searching for ways to make money on the internet. What if I'm the guy that's putting the ads and they're clicking on my ad, buying stuff, and I'm making money? And that's why I was so driven and did some of the things that they're going to see in the next episode. Can't tell them that yet.
The next episode.
That's right. You got to stay tuned. Actually, before we head out, just on what you were just talking about, what made you like click on that ad, and what made you want to invest your money with that guy and his company? Because I mean, back then, it's not like how it is now where, you can PayPal, you can send it, what was it, through a check?
I mean, that's why I'm saying people today have no idea how easy they have it. There was no ClickFunnels. There was no EBOOV. That's my company. There were no things like that, right? Yeah. There were things that make life easy. You had to hire a guy, pay him $300-$400 to build a website. You'd get it back. The video would be over here. The form would be over here. Hey, I need $200 more to fix that. There was no easy way to build funnels or make videos or put a product together. It was difficult. So to be honest, the only thing I can think of was the fact that I had heard that it was possible for my brother, who I didn't believe. I thought he was doing some scammy thing like a lot of people do when they hear about internet marketing. God, to answer your question, it's the only way. I mean, how do I not leave out of that office? And if I leave out of that office, who knows where I am right now today? That's the only chance I'm here, sitting here today. I go on the Craigslist, I see that ad, make money on Google, and I just take her number down and go home. And in my mind, I'm making money on Google. I don't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to figure it out.
And with that, that's a wrap for the recap. We'll see you on episode 2 for the recap.
Oh, I hope you're ready.
It's going to be a good one.
Ready.
It's going to be a good one.
Later.
All right, later.